Stand by SOT1.
Standing.
10 seconds. Ready, rollin'. Ready, SOT1.
Ready.
In 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll in.
From legendary Uncle Studios in beautiful Southern California, welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters, the central location for you employees, you employers, and of course, we haven't forgotten about you damn independent contractors. And now, here's this week's edition of Work Comp Matters. June 19th, or otherwise known for the very first time as Juneteenth Day, and it's 12:03 in the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters. I am joined by the madman across the water, John Scalia, as well as my chief of staff, Dr. Mike Zyma. Work Comp Matters is also, of course, brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the number one location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, number one computer management system, 818-357-4120 for your no strings attached money back guarantee. $1 a day. A1 Law. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name's Steve Appell, and I'm going to let Mike talk about Juneteenth Day for the first, because I've never heard of it before, but apparently it is extremely important. But I wanted to just say for a moment that today it is legally the day that both nail salons, tattoo parlors, and bars can open up. And of course, this is in the face of yesterday afternoon when Governor Gavin Newsom gave a statewide mask order. You may recall that originally the Gav was deferring to all the county supervisors, and some of the county supervisors were deferring to the mayors for your social distancing guidelines. But the Gav issued a statewide social distancing order. All masks must be worn indoors at most places. If you are outside and cannot separate by at least 6 feet, a mask is required. And this is, I believe, the temporary new normal for a while. And although I've had my bouts and arguments and social media thrashings with not wearing a mask at certain times, if this is what it takes to slowly reopen all businesses, then I'm all in, 100%, a 10 plus. If we have to wear masks under these conditions and all businesses are legally allowed to open, then without question, I support it. But I want to go to Dr. Zyma, since I first heard about it yesterday, I guess. Go ahead and tell us what Juneteenth Day is.
Well, I got to say that I'm feeling pretty bad because I didn't know what it was until about a week ago, when there was discussion of Juneteenth related to Trump's appearance in Tulsa. Now, apparently he wanted to appear in Tulsa on June 19th, and once he got some blowback on it, he arranged for his appearance to be a day later. Juneteenth refers to June 19th, 1865, when the last of the slaves were freed down in Galveston, Texas. It took that long to get there. A Union general and Union soldiers freed a group of slaves more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So this is a big deal. And in light of the karma and everything that has been going on in the last number of weeks, there's a big push to make it a national holiday. So that's what Juneteenth is.
John, have you ever heard of Juneteenth Day?
No, I have to admit, I'm in the same boat as Mike. I didn't know about it till last week either. I do know that today, I believe, Bill de Blasio has declared it a holiday in New York City.
And that is all good stuff. For our first story, let's see if I can find one that's interesting, because one of my most reliable news sources, John Scalia, California Healthline, is not publishing updated news today because of Juneteenth Day. So some of these stories may have been from yesterday, but I'm going to go ahead and we'll do it anyways. Fresno County, I think I read the Fresno County story yesterday. See, I'm already behind.
I'll go.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead. Give us a news story and I will get better prepared.
Nearly 360,000 undocumented workers have lost their jobs during the coronavirus pandemic in California, where the job recovery lags behind the rest of the country, a new analysis has found. Researchers with UC Merced's Community and Labor Center on Tuesday released the policy report. The study shows undocumented workers in California continue to lose their jobs, while other population groups see slow job gains nationally. That kind of fits into the DACA stuff, you know?
While three of California's biggest local police unions are taking out full-page newspaper ads promising to back reforms, other law enforcement organizations have pumped more than $2 million into a November ballot measure that would partially overturn laws that some call models for reforming the criminal justice system. Police unions have contributed more than half the nearly $4 million raised for the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act campaign. The ballot initiative would roll back provisions in three measures that were aimed at reducing the state's prison population, including Proposition 47, a voter-approved 2014 initiative that reclassified several felony crimes as misdemeanors. John Scalia, you represented police officers for 35 years. I think you've said on the show before how the police union is one of the strongest in the state. It appears that, I don't want to use the word succumb, but it appears they're fully willing to compromise on the current political and unrest regarding police brutality. If you want, take a couple of minutes and give us your take.
Well, I think you're misreading what you just read. I think it's the exact opposite. While yeah, some of the police forces have signed on to reform, whatever that means, probably not enough. But the bill you're talking about is a step backwards, and it's money from the police union to basically go back to the way it was. Because remember, if you keep more people, remember part of the union are the guards, and so the more people you keep in jail, the more jobs they have for their members. And unions are all about jobs for members. They don't care about society at large. That's not their task. They're supposed to be somebody caring for society at large. Those are called politicians. The problem is there's nobody ever opposing a police union when the police union wants something. So what happens is we have this revolving door of no reform and more prisoners and more cops. I would point out that when Kamala Harris was running for president, she proposed $250 million to go to the public defender's office to try to even up the disparity between public defenders and district attorneys. I mean, the public has this misimpression that criminals get all these rights and all these lawyers. Nothing could be further from the truth. The DA's office and the PD's office are funded as if one belongs to the monarchy and the other belongs to the poverty center. Okay, even the business cards used to be different. So, no, I think the police unions are doing what unions everywhere do, which is just looking out for the interests only of their members.
And John, you're probably 100% correct. In fact, I probably not only misread it, misinterpreted, I probably misremembered it too. So thank Thank you for keeping me on my toes and hopefully on my A game. Dr. Mike, what's the next news story?
Well, let me just say something about this last news story.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
did some Googling yesterday because I had never heard of the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act. For what it is worth, according to this entity here, child trafficking in California is not a felony. I don't know whether that's true or not. I would think that it has to be a felony.
Well, it's basically slavery, of course. Come on.
Well, according to this website, and it's the first thing, and it jumps right off of the computer.
Well, what website?
Yeah, I was
website
just going to
is
say,
this?
what's your source? What are you reading off of?
Well, I admit I was doing it very quickly. I was preparing for yesterday's show, but I just Googled Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act, and up comes.
First of all,
this-
that's a totally misleading nomenclature. We should talk about how you're allowed to mislabel bills, but go ahead.
Well, that's another topic, John, that's for sure.
I understand.
Yeah, but so up comes this image of a young girl crying, and it says, "Do you know that child trafficking is not a felony in the state of California?"
Mike, the only question you've been asked to answer is, what website is it?
Well, like I said, I was doing it quickly, and I Googled Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act, and that's what came up. I don't know.
So it's probably the lobby group for passing the act.
Right.
And both John and I can verify that child trafficking is a crime anywhere in the United States.
Well, you mean a
slavery.
felony?
I'm sorry, fine. It's a felony. It's basically slavery and or kidnapping.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll take another look at it. I don't know what they were talking about.
Well, you have to see what the definition they're using for child trafficking.
And I was just going to say,
That's-
obviously, there could be some exceptions, but then that would go into child endangerment or whatever.
Do you know that in America, children are legally allowed to work on farms? There is no minimum age. If your family owns a farm, you can be 10 years old and you can work.
but hold on. But that's working for your family. That's not working for someone else.
What difference does it make? I mean,
I'll
child
tell you
labor is
because
child labor.
no, it's John. I'm sure the same is with when you grew up and when I grew up. I did chores around the house. I was not working on a farm, but I was going to school and I had my chores. Now, if you're telling me it's okay for a parent to pull their kid out of school and have them work all day on a farm, that I would question. Is that what you're saying?
I'm telling you, it's legal for them to have their kid work 4 hours a day after school on the farm.
Well, of course, I would say it's legal for any child to perform chores for their parents as long as they go to school.
It's not legal for any other business in America. It's only legal for farms. I mean, if you own a store, you can't do that. Not legal.
Unless the store is in your home.
No, if it's a licensed business, you cannot employ minor children, even if they're yours. The only exception to that is farm labor.
Okay. That sounds good. Is it just me or am I really off today? I don't know. But I actually, prior to the show, I did get 2 workers' compensation settlements done. So for those of you that want to criticize me for being unprepared, I was just trying to do my job and make a little money to pay my bills. Okay.
It was a very busy morning.
Prepared. What?
It was a very busy morning, for the record. Very busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have another news story besides slavery and children?
Yes. Despite new anti-eviction rules passed in response to the novel coronavirus outbreak, some Los Angeles landlords are still trying to oust tenants by locking them out of their homes, turning off their utilities, and deploying other illegal methods. A Times analysis of data from the LAPD has found. In the initial 10 weeks after LA Mayor Eric Garcetti ordered a temporary moratorium on evictions in mid-March, police responded to more than 290 instances of potential illegal lockouts and utility shutoffs across the city, according to the data.
Well, it's not only illegal, but that's also criminal. If you're a landlord, you cannot turn off electricity. You cannot turn off heat and water. You cannot change the locks. You have to get a 3-day order to pay or quit, and then you have to have the sheriff evict them. And that was all before the temporary stay on evictions. So that to me would be an immediate 911 call. Even atop, I can't read. I'm out of it. John Scalia, talk for a minute.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to say what I said on my blog today on my Facebook page, which is Donald Trump showed his true colors today. He's Nazi red. What I'm talking about, of course, is the post from Trump's campaign that was actually up and running on Facebook for a while, in which he used a Nazi symbol.
John, I saw that. Please, and of course, everybody knows I'm Jewish. Please continue. I saw that too. Go, John.
He used the Nazi symbol, which was an inverted triangle. Now, let me explain why that's a Nazi symbol. When the Nazis imprisoned people, they not only imprisoned Jews, but they imprisoned political opponents. So when you went to the concentration lager, as we call them in German, in the camp, you got a patch on your uniform, on your prison uniform, indicating what kind of prisoner you were. For example, the Jehovah's Witnesses were put in Dachau because they won't go in the army in any country. So if you were a political prisoner, you had one kind. You had the inverted red triangle. If you were a Jehovah's Witness, you had another. If you were a Jew, you had another. And Dachau, which is very close to where I live, by the way, it's a short bus ride. I've been there. And there's tours given by state-appointed, people who pass the state exam. It's very objective. They don't lie about it. And you can see Dachau was mainly for political prisoners, quote unquote. Guess what? There's gas ovens at Dachau too. So, you can rejoice in the fact that you're a political prisoner, but there was an oven waiting for you there too. So that was the symbol that they posted on a Trump campaign ad, which was actually up before the Facebook people caught it. And then the Trump response to it was, well, it's an Antifa symbol. The problem is it's not. The problem is, like a lot of things that come out of the Trump camp, that was just an outright lie. So what they were really doing was trying to, I guess, covertly appeal to their base, who they realize are a bunch of, racist bigots. And so they had the symbol, they had the Nazi symbol on the ad for the Trump campaign. And it's just outrageous. I mean, it's disgusting, it's outrageous. And as I say in my blog, Trump's only defense is probably going to be, I didn't know. Well, as you know from my opinion of Trump, I believe him. He doesn't know anything. But that doesn't absolve him of responsibility. The buck is supposed to stop with you, no matter how stupid and ignorant you are.
Well, that's a pretty obscure symbol. How would his base know what it is? You think that they all knew what it was?
You think it was on the ad by mistake, Mike? You think it got there? How do you think it got there?
I don't know.
Let's talk about this.
No, they created the ad. Why do you think they put it there?
How many of his base do you think know about that symbol?
Well, really? Obviously, come on. It doesn't matter. The point is that's exactly. What else was it there for, Mike? It was there to appeal to his racist base. I mean, if you don't think Trump is a racist, I'm sorry. I can't help you. But, everybody in the world, and believe me, on this side of the pond, everybody thinks he's a racist. And that was before. It wasn't even an argument here.
Tell me about going to Dachau.
Well, it's interesting. It's a memorial. I mean, like I say, Germany is one of the only countries on the planet that's honest about its past. And they make no attempt to sugarcoat it. They take the guy who passes the state exam tells you exactly, how the thing worked, how people got there, what they were there for. By the way, the Catholic Church can claim some credit there too, because they actually paid the Nazis so that the priests who were jailed would have a bigger cell. Yeah. So and the Jehovah's Witnesses were there, and all the socialists were there, because by that time Hitler had the power to do that. And it's a very sombering. There's also, I believe there's churches on the ground from all the religions there. So it's turned into it's a very somber memorial. It's done with grace and dignity. And I would recommend that anybody comes to Munich, just take the local bus and go out to Dachau and take a tour. I mean, I think it's a sombering moment. I also took a tour when I was going to school in Europe the first time, way back. And I took a tour of the museum at Lidice. I don't know if you know the story of Lidice, but Hitler's representative in Czechoslovakia was one of his favorite guys. And he was a vicious, brutal monster. And his nickname was Heydrich the Hangman. And a couple of Czech expats from London flew into Czechoslovakia and assassinated him. There was some karma because he spent 8 days suffering in the hospital before he finally died. But Hitler was so outraged because he liked this guy, he just basically threw a pin at a map and said, I want you to take every man, woman, and child in that town and take them out and execute them. And they did. And it's called Lidice, and that's not very far out of Prague. So, so there are memorials that will remind you of what humans are unfortunately capable of doing. And they do it in a very dignified and very somber manner. When I was at Lidice, one of the things that made it very touching was the fact, because it was not a mass extermination, they had the pictures of every victim on the wall. And you realize, we're talking about people. That's a very somber realization.
How well preserved is Dachau? I mean, do they still have the ovens and such?
Yeah, the ovens are still, I don't think they operate. But yes, the ovens are there. Oh, it's well preserved. I mean, it's really well preserved.
Mike, any closing thoughts?
Nope. Thank you.
All right. Well, John, thank you for your valuable contributions. You were great on this show. I have been absolutely horrible. I will take the weekend to further prep, but thank you, John Scalia, Dr. Mike Zyma, Scott Walton from Uncle Studio, and all the good people back at WorkCompCentral. Thank also our other advertiser, A1 Law. We will see you again Monday at 12 noon for another edition of Work Comp Matters.